What's going on, everybody? It's your boy JP Joe Paul. We are back in the motherfucking building. Hope everybody's having a great day, an amazing afternoon, a wonderful evening. Whatever time of day you're watching this video, I hope that you are lit. Hope you're in good spirits. Hope you're feeling nice and dandy and ready to listen to some basketball. So we are back with another playoff update. We are still in the middle of the second round of the NBA playoffs. And in this video, man, we're going to be talking about the Young Guns, man. We're going to be talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Dallas Mavericks, and then we'll also be talking about the Denver Nuggets versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. So let's go ahead and we'll take it from the top. Let's talk about the OKC Thunder. So last week I made a video saying that the OKC Thunder Dallas series had me conflicted. The reason why it had me conflicted is because when you looked at the season series, when you looked at, the matchup, you could make an argument 100% that the Dallas Mavericks should probably win this series. Wouldn't be surprised if it was in 5, 6, 7 games. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Like, you could definitely see a world where the Dallas Mavericks are able to dominate the Oklahoma City Thunder. And on the flip side, you see a couple of questions that come up on the OKC side. They are an insanely young team. They're playing against a team in Dallas that has, two established playoff superstars in Kyrie and in Luka. They were coming off the second half of the season where they were the best team in the NBA. And they had all this momentum working towards them, even though they weren't, they were kind of shaky in their first round matchup. They still were a team that you definitely saw, like I said, a possibility for them to overtake this Oklahoma City Thunder team. And through the first 4 games in the series, actually through the first 3 games in the series, before we talk about Game 4 that took place the other night, I felt like Dallas was dominating the series. I felt like in the at the end of the last video, I said a couple of things that the OKC Thunder needed to do is that Chet needed to, like, he couldn't get dominated by the Dallas front court. J-Dub needed to, really win his matchup against Kyrie. And I forgot what the other thing was, but there were a couple of key points that I thought that the Thunder had to hit on in order for them to have a chance of going into the series. And through 3 games, they were, like I said, they were being dominated. OKC was they weren't able to generate turnovers like they had been over the course of the entire year. J-Dub wasn't exactly winning the Kyrie matchup. Like a reason why I said that was going to be the X factor matchup in the series is because I don't feel like at any point in this series that either the games played so far or any of the games played so far were won or lost because of Shea or Luka. Like, whether, Luka's coming off a playoff, he's having a shaky playoff run where he's dealing with multiple injuries and he's having a hard time, moving around the court. Shea Gilgeous has been amazing the entire series, but like, you kind of had to bake that into, any recipe surrounding the Oklahoma City Thunder in this series. In order for them to have a chance, Shea had to be the guy who he was the entire season. And luckily for them, he has been just that. Shea is averaging, I want to say, over 30 points in this series. Just last night, he had 34 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 14 and 27 from the field, 22 points in the second half in a game where there were various points throughout it where I thought that it was slipping away from them. I thought that Dallas was going to be able to pull away from them, but due to some poor free throw shooting and some other circumstances, some bad late turnovers and all that, OKC is able to pull through and tie the series at 2 games apiece. So let's go ahead and we'll break it down how we always do. We'll go for one team, and then we'll talk about the other team, and then we'll talk about the collective for the entire series. So, like I was saying, man, OKC felt like to me that they were being dominated the first 3 games of the series. Outside of game 1, where they, they were able to shoot the lights out of the ball, they were able to force turnovers, they were able to, Chet was able to have a big presence in that game 1. Like, I knew that it was going to take that kind of performance 4 times in order for them to win. It's very doable, very, it's a real possibility. This team has been extremely consistent the entire year. So I didn't see, I felt like as long as they were able to maintain what they've been doing the entire season, they should be fine. And I think that this is where the whole youth thing comes into play when you're talking about the OKC Thunder, because game 2 in Oklahoma City and game 3 in Dallas, they were not the same team they were in game 1. Game 1, they were able to get the ball popping around the perimeter, getting good shots. Aaron Wiggins has a big first game. Casey Wallace has a big first game. Lou Dort hits a couple of threes in that game 1. And like I said, man, you see the formula for this team to get it done. But through game 2 and game 3, I believe that they end up tying the turnover battle, so they're not really getting out in transition and getting those fast break points that they got the entire season. J-Dub, for whatever reason, at various times throughout the game 2 and game 3, he would kind of just disappear. I think in game 2 he had a little bit of an ankle injury that caused him to miss some time, and then in game 3 he just had a very rare bad shooting night. You don't really expect that from J-Dub, from a guy who is very efficient. I believe he shot, I want to say, 54% or something like that for the season. So to see him struggling like that, like I said, in an opportunity where he really is not allowed to struggle. You know what I'm saying? You have a guy like Kyrie Irving who can come out and can give you 20 points and a half or 25 points and a half. Like, you need J-Dub to be able to keep up with that performance. And luckily for, you know what I'm saying, luckily for J-Dub, Kyrie also hasn't had the greatest series so far. So, you know what I'm saying, they kind of been, you know what I'm saying, going, I guess, bar for bar in terms of who's going to help carry their team to a victory. Because if you ask me, in game one, J-Dub had that great stretch in the fourth quarter where he was able to help create some separation for the OKC Thunder. And then game two and game three, you saw just the effect that Kyrie could have on a game. I believe in game two, or game three, that's where he has his scoring outburst, was actually able to put the ball in the bucket. And in game two, you see like this brand new evolved form of Kyrie Irving where he's out here, you know what I'm saying, contesting threes, he's sliding, you know what I'm saying, moving his feet. He's able to dish the ball around. He's just becoming an overall, you know what I'm saying, a great playmaking asset for this Dallas Mavericks team. And in game two and game three, his performance, as well as the addition of fucking PJ Washington, which we'll talk about in a little bit, helped carry them to those two games. And then last night, you know what I'm saying, in a game where it's basically do or die for OKC. You know what I'm saying? They lose that game. They're down 3-1 going back to OKC. And everything that people have been talking about the entire season basically comes back up. You know what I'm saying? Talking about their youth, saying how they're basically not ready to be in this position yet. You know what I'm saying? How all it took was a team with a little bit of playoff experience to knock them off their rocker. And they are able to win that game last night. It was not a pretty game. I believe they go into halftime, they're down 11. I believe to start the game off, they're down by like 14 or something. I believe when I checked the score, it was like 30-16 at one point. Like, if you ask me, man, when I tuned into the game, because I tuned in a little bit late, I thought it was over, man. I thought that Dallas had completely firmly taken control over the series. I thought that their front court of Lively and PJ Washington and Daniel Gaffer was too much for Chet and J-Dub to you know what I'm saying, to overcome. Because I talked about that in the previous video too. I said that OKC can beat you in a lot of different ways. They're able to, you know what I'm saying, win a game a lot of different ways. But the way they can't beat you is by killing you on the glass. And they haven't really won the rebounding matchup. They've only won the rebounding matchup twice. You know what I'm saying? It was the two games that they won. You know what I'm saying? I believe in game one, they won the rebounding matchup, and last night they airily won the rebounding matchup, as well as turning more turnovers than they had done previously in the series. So it's able to beat you so many different ways. So them just the only thing they can't do is let Dallas, you know what I'm saying, dominate them physically. That's what they cannot do. You know what I'm saying? They cannot have a world where Chet is, you know what I'm saying, giving you 10 points and 6 rebounds, or, you know what I'm saying, like last night, Chet gives you 18 points, 9 rebounds, 4 blocks. That's what I mean when I say that Chet's presence needs to be felt. Chet needs to be, you know what I'm saying, a key contributor in the game. He cannot be a bystander. None of the Oklahoma City starting 5, or really the starting 4, because Josh, you know what I'm saying, Josh Giddey needs to stay the fuck off the court. Nobody in the Oklahoma City starting 4 really can afford to be a liability, because Josh Giddey is so unplayable. You know what I'm saying? Like Lou Dort, you know what I'm saying, the 2 games that they lost, you know what I'm saying, they weren't able to knock down perimeter shots. Lou Dort is in foul trouble, and it's not enough. You know what I'm saying? You're asking Shea to do too much in that moment. You know what I'm saying? When they actually are a full team, when they're popping, like last night, Shea gives you 34, J-Dub gives you 14. It was inefficient. He gives you 14. Chet gives you 18. Lou Dort gives you 17. Like, it has to be a full team effort. They're not going to be a team that's going to just ride on Shea giving you 45, 50 a night and hope that's going to be enough. Not with this Dallas team, not with how they're playing, not with how everybody on their team is being a contributor and, you know what I'm saying, being an asset to winning basketball. You know what I'm saying? Everybody on this Dallas Mavericks team has been contributing to this, you know what I'm saying, as contributing to the team. It's not just been the Luka and the Kyrie show. So what I'm saying. So actually we'll pivot and we'll talk about Dallas, because that's a rough game to lose last night. Like, if they do end up losing this series, that's definitely going to be the game where it's like, you know what, that's where it got away from us. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about that in another series too. Actually, a couple other series that are taking place right now. Just that one moment. All it takes is you slipping up one moment, and then potentially the entire series, the entire series gets flipped on its head. So last night, Luka Doncic is very inefficient. He's, you know what I'm saying, he's dealing with that ankle issue. I believe his ankle and a leg injury, or ankle and a knee. His lower body is cooked right now. Every time that, you know what I'm saying, he hits the floor, he has to crash, you know what I'm saying, he has to get up extremely slowly. He's struggling to move around, you know what I'm saying, he's struggling. So he comes around, he gives you 18 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, okay? Kyrie also struggles. He gives you 9 points, 9 assists. So I guess we'll actually start there. Oklahoma City's defense on Dallas's two superstars has been interesting to me. It kind of feels like we're selling out. You know what I'm saying? We're selling out. We're not gonna let these two beat us. We're okay with somebody else beating us. You know what I'm saying? I believe PJ Washington said it best. They asked him in a interview. In between quarters, they said like, what is it that's contributing to you? Not, you know what I'm saying, being a factor. Like PJ Washington in the two games that they won, he's averaging 28 points per game, 8.5 rebounds per game, and shooting 52% from the three, making 6 threes per. Like he's been absolutely hooping. And they asked him like, what is it that is, you know what I'm saying, helping you to gain this confidence and to knock down these shots? And he's saying they keep doubling Luka and Kyrie and they're leaving me wide open. And it happened multiple times throughout the series. You know what I'm saying? There were Luka makes any kind of athletic move. You know what I'm saying? He has Lu Dort on him. Lu Dort is already giving up a couple of pounds, giving up a couple of inches. So every time that Luka makes any kind of aggressive move towards the basket, they're double teaming him. And Luka is a good enough playmaker, Kyrie as well, that if you give him a double team enough times, he's gonna find the open man 9 times out of 10. And we've seen Luka make some crazy passes out of double teams, and it's been no different this series. PJ Washington has been cooking. You know what I'm saying? Daniel Gafford in the 2 games that he won, he's giving you 10.5 points, 10 rebounds, and 73% from the floor. Derek Lively, he's coming there. He's giving you almost double-digit points. Like, I'm not sure if this defensive strategy is the one that you want to play right now, because this is a very, very even, very, very what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a talented, a very diverse Mavericks team we're dealing with here. Like, they can win with Luka Doncic doing everything. They can win with Kyrie Irving having a blowout game. But in a situation where both of those guys are struggling, like in game 2, they're able to win that game. Kyrie only scores 9 points. And this game last night, they should have won the game. There's no reason to argue that. They were up by 11 points at halftime. At various points throughout the third quarter, like OKC's able to get it to within 5. Within 3, within 6, and then Dallas just boosts the lead right back up. So I just feel like Dallas had everything it took to keep OKC at bay, but when they didn't have their closers down the stretch, and when you miss 11 free throws, that more or less is going to tell the story for you. You know what I'm saying? It took an amazing performance from Shea down the stretch, but it also took Dallas missing 11 free throws, Luka having one of his worst playoff games, Kyrie having one of his most inefficient playoff games, and we're back to 2-2, going back to OKC, man. It's literally anybody's series. And honestly, the key to this series, if you ask me, I think it's 3 or 4 bullet points here. What it's gonna take for OKC or Dallas to win this series. So actually, I'm gonna say for OKC, because I know last video I said that I think that Dallas is going to win, and honestly, I still might think that they're going to win. But in my heart, I want OKC to win. I want to see this young team just shut everybody the hell up, so they can stop with this whole they're too young, they're not ready narrative. Like, if this team makes it to the conference finals, that means they are legit. You know what I'm saying, legit threat to make a championship and win a championship. You can't talk about age, you can't talk about anything if this team's able to get past a team that has Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving and make a conference final. So, steps it's going to take for OKC to win the series. They're going to have to win the turnover battle. They have to get back to winning the turnover battle. So in the 2 games that like I said before, were the 2 games that they did win the turnover battle. Last night, OKC has 7 turnovers. Dallas has 13. They win the turnover battle. They win the game. You know what I'm saying? Like that's been their bread and butter all season. With them not being able to dominate on the backboard, they have to be able to turn over the ball and get easy points in transition, because if they're playing against a set defense every single time, this Dallas defense is a very formidable defense. It's not like a Dallas defense of previous years. You have to be like, you want to get as many easy shots as you can on this defense as possible. So they have to turn the ball over. They have to win the 3-point made battle. You know what I'm saying? It's easy I don't want to just say they have to win the 3-point battle, because they were a team that was first in 3-point percentage the entire season. You know what I'm saying? But they were 16th in attempts. So they were first in percentage, 16th in attempts, which is great that, you know what I'm saying, the shots that they do take, that means that they're taking good 3-point shots and they're knocking their shots down. I think that in this series where Dallas takes such a high volume of 3-point shots, and with their defensive strategy being that we're going to double Luka and Kyrie, they have to win the 3-point battle in their own right. They cannot let Dallas hit 13 threes and they only hit 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has to be, if they're not going to win it, it needs to be closer than it has been the previous 2 games that Dallas has won. Point number 3, Chet's presence needs to be felt. I know I've said this multiple times. I'm going to keep saying it. Chet's presence has to be felt in order for OKC to have a chance. In Game 4, Chet Chet gives you 18 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 blocks. The combination of Derek Lively and Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford, they give you 17 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 blocks. So Chet basically, as one person, is able to basically eat up the production that two people have from the Mavericks team. That's huge. You know what I'm saying? I know that it's hard. I know that it's a possibility. It's definitely very easy for, you know what I'm saying. It's a lot of physicality, a lot of bumping, a lot of stuff going down there in that paint. It's easy for Chet, you know what I'm saying, to get knocked off his game and for him to, you know what I'm saying, struggle and to get just engulfed in, you know what I'm saying, everything that's going on down there. It can't happen for OKC to have a chance. He has to be a viable asset on the floor. He has to hit at least 1 or 2 threes. He has to keep being a shot blocker. He can't get into foul trouble. Like I said, man, with Josh Giddey being so unplayable, nobody on the starting five for OKC is allowed to not be an asset. And last but not least, man, you got to keep Josh Giddey off the fucking floor. You got to. He's not an asset at all. He's not a benefit while he's on the floor in this series. And it sucks because I swear, before J-Dub got there, man, people were hype about Josh Giddey. People thought that Josh Giddey had real potential. He was a great distributor. All he do is work on his jump shot. And you're in the NBA for a couple of seasons and you don't improve on things you need to improve on, and you get past. You know what I'm saying? J-Dub comes in and he's basically just what the doctor ordered. You know what I'm saying? He has the scoring ability. He can play make a little bit. He's a great defender. He go ahead and he steals the thunder that Josh Giddey once had. And now, at least to a point where Josh Giddey probably should have been traded this previous offseason. But if he's not traded this offseason, I'll be very, very surprised. There's no place for him on this team. There's no place around. This team does not benefit off of his play style at all. And the same goes vice versa. He does not benefit off of this team being extremely fast-paced, running up and down the court, especially with him being potentially the third or fourth ball handler on the team. So that's really all it's going to take for OKC to win the game. It's just 2-2 series. Anybody's bet. I know last week I said I got Dallas in 6. But I'm switching, man. I'm going to say we got OKC going to win in 7 back in Oklahoma City. So they might lose game 5 actually they might win. They're going to win game 5 tomorrow. They're going to lose game 6 back in Dallas, and they'll come back home for a game 7 to win the series. You heard it here first. You can go ahead and book that. All right. So let's talk about the other young team out west. We're going to talk about the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. So the Nuggets and the Timberwolves, man, what a crazy flip-flop series and just how different location can make things, man. So everybody knows the first 2 games that were in Denver, Minnesota came out and kicked the ever-loving crap out of them. You know what I'm saying? Jamal Murray was not allowed to play. Jokic looked like he was lethargic. He was turning the ball over. Like I said, Jamal Murray's over here throwing heating pads and towels on the court, and it's just all bad. Anthony Edwards is looking like the next coming of Kobe Bryant, and just like the clear face of the face of the league and everything. And it's just looking all bad for the Denver Nuggets. And I checked last week. I checked a couple of times. I wanted to check and see if I was one of the people who was going ahead and saying that the Denver Nuggets were dead after they lost the first 2 games at home. And I did not say it. I never said that Denver was dead. I said that Minnesota, you probably have to feel like Minnesota is going to win the series at that point. But at no point did I say that I was picking Minnesota to win, or did I say that Denver was cooking, they had no chance of winning. And the reason why I didn't say that is because I knew that losing your first 2 home games, losing the first 2 games at home in a series, it's terrible. You know what I'm saying? It's not good. But however, we have seen it happen a couple of times. So a couple years ago, the Clippers against the Mavericks, they lost the first 2 games at home. Then they won the 2 games at Dallas. And once you're able to win really that first game, really once you win that game 3, once you really win that game 4, that's when you really get a grasp of where you are in the series. You know what I'm saying? Game 4 to me was gut check. You know what I'm saying? So after the first 2 games, you think that, all right, Minnesota, they're not going to be able to play that same kind of bullying, you know what I'm saying, aggressive, knock you off your spot defense that they played the first 2 games. Like, I'm not sure if the refs will allow it. I'm not sure if Denver sent some clips in. I highly doubt they'll be able to do what they did to Jamal Murray those first 2 games when they get back to Minnesota. I don't think that was going to be allowed. So I know that Minnesota had that working against them. But it really just came down to, it was gut check between Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. You know what I'm saying? They had 2 games basically for their legacy. You know what I'm saying? Not for their entire legacy. It wouldn't, if they had lost the series, it wouldn't have been the biggest thing in the world. But two real gut check games, you know what I'm saying? And in game 3, Jamal Murray, with all the controversy with everybody saying that he should have been suspended in game 3 and everything with the heating pad and just him completely crashing out in game 2. He comes out and he gives you a dominant performance. You know what I'm saying? I believe he gives you 30 plus points, and they're able to dominate that game. But really, game 4 last night was the game where it really came down to, all right, man, this is where we're really going to get to see just the heart of this Denver Nuggets team. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, it wasn't until I saw on Twitter, it reminded me, this core, I think it was minus Aaron Gordon, this core has already come back from a 3-1 deficit twice in the same playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So we're over here questioning you know what I'm saying? People are questioning if they have what it takes to overtake this deficit. And here comes Nikola Jokic. You know what I'm saying? Jokic had been struggling the entire series. You know what I'm saying? Game 3, kind of gets his feet under him. I believe he gives you a strong mid-20s point performance. And man, game 4, we get Jokic, 35 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. In that last video, I was saying how Minnesota was making it seem like he was a cone, how he wasn't able to stop anything. You know what I'm saying? And the 2 games back in Minnesota, he's averaging 2 steals per game and 2 blocks per game. I know that steals and blocks per game isn't a clear indication of how good somebody is on defense. But for Jokic, I think those are huge. I think that means that he's engaged. I think that means that, you know what I'm saying, he's getting into passing lanes. He's contesting shots. Like, he's not a guy who's going to get 4 blocks a night, 5 blocks a night. When you see 2 blocks a night from Nikola Jokic, that just means that he's engaged. He's locked in. He's moving his feet. He's giving effort. You know what I'm saying? And there was plenty of times where in the first 2 games of the series where it didn't seem like he was giving much effort. You know what I'm saying? He would just swipe down at the ball. I remember one play where Naz Reid had the ball driving to the rim, and this dude Jokic just get a charge position backing up, and you're just like, all right, bro, that's not quite defense, but whatever. Nikola Jokic, man, with everybody just kind of like all his haters waiting for him to fail, he pulls through. 35, 7, and 7, doing what he's doing. Jamal Murray is basically back. You know what I'm saying? He gives you 21.5 points, 50% from the field in the last 2 games. He was a little inefficient last night, but you know what I'm saying? Or not last night, the night before. But you really just kind of like, you need Jamal to be able to contribute. You need Jamal to be able to play basketball. Jamal was not able to play basketball the first 2 games of the series. So him being able to do what he's doing is amazing. And then we're going to talk about, man, the superstar in his role, the man of the hour, Mr. Aaron Gordon. Once a playoff series, Aaron Gordon will have a game where you think that he's the best player on the floor. And that game was game 4. You know what I'm saying? He gives you 27 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists on 11 or 12 from the field. He hit 2 for 2 from threes. Just, man, the Nuggets got back to being who they were. You know what I'm saying? They got back to hitting threes. They got back to playing in space. They got back to you know what I'm saying? They got to run their bread and butter play with Jokic back at the elbow. I believe they ran a couple different times. They ran it with Jokic at the elbow. They ran it with Jokic at the block. Just, you know what I'm saying? That he gets the double team, and then he finds a way to get the ball to Aaron Gordon just to get the easy buckets. Because like I was saying in the last video, man, those really kickstart the offense, and you can see it. Just like that, I think that's almost as deflating as a big backbreaking 3. Just like the fact that you play Jokic so tight, you know what I'm saying? You think that you're like you're where he needs to be, but at the end of the day, he hits you with one little drop off pass of a guy who gets behind you, and then Aaron Gordon is not out here just doing like these little punk ass layups, punk reverse layups. He's thunder slamming that shit down, and you're just like, damn, like what is it gonna take for us to be able to stop this team, man? So and they also the Nuggets also tried a new thing. They did a lot more of Aaron Gordon bringing up the basketball and really just letting him go one-on-one in space. Like there was a couple of times where I believe he had Nickeil Alexander-Walker on the wing. The Nuggets had no problem with clearing out that side and just saying, hey, listen, man, you want to try to guard Aaron Gordon? Have at it. And it's kind of a similar strategy that they also run against the Lakers. You know what I'm saying? Whenever Aaron Gordon would get caught with Austin Reeves or Rui Hachimura or D'Angelo Russell, they would just clear out the side and they're like, go ahead, AG, cook. Like, you cook and we'll be cutting. So, yeah, man, shout out to Denver, man. They definitely could have folded, but they did not. We're back to a 2-2 series. And let's talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves, man. The Timberwolves, they got to be, they had to feel like they really miss an opportunity going back home. You know what I'm saying? Like, going back home, they have the momentum. You know what I'm saying? They played great those 2 games. Like, you have to think there's going to be some type of drop-off going into game 3. You know what I'm saying? There was already a 3-day break going between game 2 and game 3. But you got to feel like if you're Minnesota, if we're able to win game 3, this series is over. You know what I'm saying? Even if Denver's able to force it to a game 6, it would take a real monumental effort for them to beat us 4 straight times. And again, that's where youth comes into play. It's kind of why I want to talk about OKC and the Timberwolves in the same video, because that's kind of where the youth comes into play when it comes to Anthony Edwards, because he comes out a little lackadaisical, not fully locked in game 3. He gives you, I believe, under 20 points or under 25 points, and they get blown out. And that just goes to tell you that if your mentality is not right going into these playoff games, there's a good opportunity for you to get blown out. And that's where the youth comes into play, because Minnesota wins this game. They're up 3-0. Anthony Edwards has got to be feeling good. The rest of the team is feeling good. They just have to win one more game to close it out. But now you give lack of effort at one game. You come back game 4 and you play it tight, but you have two bad endings to the quarter in the first quarter and the second quarter. Second being an 8-0 run in 20 seconds, and then you blink twice and you're going back to Denver tied 2-2, and it's anybody's series. So it's very, very interesting. It's a very, very interesting conundrum for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards is still completely locked in, though. He gave them 44 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, knocked down 5 threes in game 4. But the rest of the team has completely fallen off a cliff. So the rest of the starters in game 4 only gave Anthony Edwards 50 points. So he scored 40 points. The rest of the starters only scored 50. The rest of the team only scored 63 points. So Anthony Edwards was within 20 points of the rest of the scoring that the rest of his team did. You know what I'm saying? And then really, man, like, I know the last video I gave Cat a ton of credit. I spoke super high on Cat. I was happy that he was able to finally show just like this, you know what I'm saying, put his talent on display as a second option for him to just, you know what I'm saying, his main thing is just to score and just be a bucket. You know what I'm saying? And there's a phrase that I've heard through life plenty of times. It is the duality of man. All right, we're going to talk about now the duality of Cat, because Cat is kind of be the best, most talented, dumb nigga I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, when it comes to the good that Cat does when he's knocking down threes, when he's able to be a beast in the paint and he's rebounding and he's playing, you know what I'm saying, he's getting blocks and he's engaged and everything, he's a great player. But there's times where he just does some of the dumbest shit you ever seen. He does some of the most awkward, dumb fouls. He'll throw up the most dumb shots where it's just smacking the backboard or getting thrown over the rim. It's just, it's ugly, honestly. It's ugly. It's such a big difference between your peaks and your valleys. Like, Jesus Christ. So, in Denver, Cat was giving you 23.5 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, shooting 64% from the floor. He got back home to Minnesota and he dropped 10 points. He only scored 13.5 points per game. Rebounding is still fine at 8.5 rebounds per game. And he's only shooting 36% from the floor. And I don't think he's getting really that any more different looks. I think they're still going with the strategy of Jokic guarding him up front. I think he's still getting the open 3-point shots. I think in game 3 he actually still hit, I believe, 6 3-point shots. But it's just that everything else surrounding the game did not carry from Denver. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what it's gonna come down to in this series, man. Like, at this point, I think that game 1, you can say that Anthony Edwards won game 1 from Minnesota. And you could say that a combination of Jokic and Aaron Gordon won game 4 for Denver. Every other game, I don't think, has been won by the superstars. You know what I'm saying? Jamal Murray has a great game 3. Cat and the Timberwolves defense has a great game 2. Like, it's always going to be about the other guys in these playoff series. You know what I'm saying? The superstars can only do so much. It's always going to be about the other guys, and so it's basically really going to come down to who can really keep showing up out of Jamal Murray and Karl Anthony Towns. It has to come down to that. Who the man who shows up continuously throughout the series, time and time again, their team will most likely win. You know what I'm saying? And on the second half, man, we got to talk about. Everybody's heard about the phrase role players play better at home, right? Everybody's heard about that. I think that's just like common knowledge. Role players typically play better in their home arena with their home crowd after sleeping in their own bed, all that good stuff. That didn't fucking take place in Minnesota. So the trio of Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So back in Denver, they give you 54 points, 26 rebounds, 4 steals, and 9 blocks in the 2 games that were in Denver. They come back home and they gave you 47 points, 13 rebounds, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. How does that happen? I don't understand how that happens. I don't understand how they come off this performance in Denver where they're, you know what I'm saying, they're on Jamal Murray's neck, not allowing him to move, not allowing him to breathe. Nikola Jokic is not even able to get the ball over his shoulder to get a shot up. You know what I'm saying? They're putting so much pressure on the Denver wings to the point where they're not even able to run their offense. And then they get back home and they basically let the Denver offense just run rampant. They basically just let everything that they weren't allowing back in Denver, they said, hey, man, we'll let you do it here, man. You guys are at our house. We're visitors. You know what I'm saying? We're nice guys. We don't want to mess that up for you. And that's not what it's going to take to win this series, man. It's not what it's going to take to win this series. So in order to win this series, man, here are my points for this series. So I already said the first one. Whoever's co-star continues to show up is going to have the winner of the series. So between Jamal Murray, between Karl-Anthony Towns, whoever keeps showing up out of those two, 9 times out of 10, we'll see the winner come from their side. Minnesota, can they impose their will defensively like in game 1 and game 2? Like I said, I'm not sure if the NBA will allow them to play that same hawking defense that they were playing through the first 2 games of the series. But they're going to have to find a way to impose their will. And more than anything, they're going to have to find a way for their defensive player of the year to actually impact the game. Like, I don't know how we keep getting to the playoffs and Rudy Gobert just keeps becoming like, I don't want to say defensive liability but that presence that you get in the regular season with him, you don't feel it in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? You don't feel it at all. You just feel like, I don't know, Rudy Gobert's on the court. You know that for sure, but I don't know. He doesn't have that same impact that you see that gives him those 4 defensive player of the years. And then last but not least, you got to just think, how does this carry job keep affecting Anthony Edwards over the long term of the series? You know what I'm saying? Anthony Edwards, I get he's a young guy. I get he's super athletic, super talented, all this good stuff. He's a human at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? And with him having to basically shoulder the entire load for this Minnesota team, people break down. We're seeing it across the league, man. Players break down when they're asked to carry a heavy burden. You know what I'm saying? Jalen Brunson in New York, he's dealing with it. Donovan Mitchell over in Cleveland. Jimmy Butler dealt with it over in Miami. Giannis over in Milwaukee. Dame over in Milwaukee. They're human. So you can ask these guys to do as much as they can. The human body has its limits, and you have to just ask yourself, will the series end before Anthony Edwards' body starts to break down? So that's all I got for this one, man. We have a crazy end of the series. By the time we get back next week, I believe we'll be in the conference finals, or we're having a couple of game 7s, one or the other. But I'll be here either way. Make sure you guys leave a like. Make sure you guys leave a comment. Make sure you guys subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Deuces. Peace and love, family.